Good morning, everyone. And here I'm again with the discussion on the Lord of the Flies today. If you remember, if all of you were there, can you hear me? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, good morning, everyone. And yesterday we discussed about the Lord of the Flies and the man behind it, that is William Golding. We discussed about his life sketch, about a bit about his career, and also about the kind of writing that he has offered, particularly so far as the themes of Lord of the Flies is concerned. So today, as I told you yesterday, that I'm going to begin with the summary of Lord of the Flies. Now, Lord of the Flies is a novel written by William Golding in the year, published in the year 1954, and it is a very elaborate kind of novel, because it speaks about, it is not a common kind of plot in the novel that we come across. Here he is trying to tell us raising some very, very serious issues related to modern contemporary life. And in this context, let us go to discuss the summary of the Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies, as I told you, that it is a story about one of the students. Please switch off your video. Student, please switch off your video. The boy, you please switch off your video. अपना वीडियो बंद करिए. वीडियो बंद करिए. So now, here we have Lord of the Flies, a famous novel by William Golding. I'm going to begin with the summary plot structure of this novel today. Now, the story begins with the small, young, pre-adolescent children suddenly stranding. They are playing crashed and they get stranded in a tropical island. And in this island, now they are all children. There is no adult. There is nobody to instruct them. No discipline to be followed. Nothing to be obeyed. No one is there to guide them or instruct them. We have to keep this in mind. So now the boys are, I told you yesterday that there are 4 or 5 young children who actually started governing the group. The main 2 ones are, first is Ralph and the second is Jack. Now, it was decided that naturally there are some young children also and there are some grown-ups. By grown-up I mean although they are all 14, 15 years of age, but there were some who were 6 to 10 years. So they were called as little guns. They were called as little guns. Aged between 6 to 10 years. Okay, and there was Bytons, or you can say Biggles. It is bygones or begins, and they were known as, they were above 10, 12 to 15 years of age. So now you see, these are little because they have to be, tackled, they have to be guided, they have to be instructed. And there is big guns or wide guns who are actually going to now lead. Now, before this, their life was inside their homes, very protected, very, secured, safe, and yet they had to be disciplined. They had to follow the discipline of the family. They were parents, they were guardians to instruct them, to guide them, and go them, and ask them to go this way and not to go this way, to do this and not to do this. And we all know that the children do not like the parents to guide them, right? So here we find that suddenly when they have stranded on this island, it is a kind of newfound freedom, isn't it? So they found that it is a newfound freedom, no discipline, no instructions, nothing at all. And in this way, after some time, so they started enjoying their freedom. Or, it was a kind of complete autonomy that they were, enjoying, and they delighted to be without any parent, without any guardian or teacher, and so on. So for some 2-3 days, they were very happy, rejoicing, playing, doing all sorts of activities that they loved. But a thing is, enjoyment is only for a short period of time. So we find that they made a group, and Ralph was automatically considered as their leader. Why did he consider as leader? Why did he consider people accepted him as a leader? The boys accepted him as leader because he was good looking. He was, having some leadership qualities. He was very, he was intelligent. He was good looking. He has far-sightedness, and he was accepted by all. So he became leader of the group, and he wanted everyone to, so he started instructing others. But there was Jack. Jack also wanted to become leader. So they both of them belonged to the same age. So he also wanted to become the leader, and there comes the complication. Because whatever Ralph was instructing, he was a good boy, and he wanted all of us to get out of this island and go back to their homes as early as possible. So, therefore, he made a group, and he made a group of Jack and some of his, some other boys to make a signal fire. Now, normally speaking, in an island, how are you going to communicate? So, the general thing is, the solution to this problem is those who are stranded in an island, in order to inform others, passing ships on the ocean and others, what do? They make the fire on in one way or the other by burning the logs or burning the some kind of cloth if they have, and in this way they try to inform others, the passerby ships, and if some aeroplane is about to move from there, so that they can see and find out that there is someone stranded there and he needs help. This is the general thing that happens. So this is the general solution. So they looked for Red asked Jack and some of the members to go and get the signal fire on. Now these boys, you see, discipline and the urge to do things on their own. So they went, they burned the fire in the beginning, but later on they could not keep a check on it. Keep on looking, because again and again you have to put either the logs or some other things so that the fire should keep on burning. And therefore, but these boys, along with Jack, as soon as they burned the fire, they said, okay, the fire is burnt, so now we are free. As we are free, now let us go for hunting. Now, so they went for, they started hunting, because it was an island full of trees, full of vegetation actually. Some animals were also there, so they started hunting. And they started hunting. In the process of hunting, they started enjoying. Now, hunting is, as you know, it is an adventurous activity. An adventurous activity, they started enjoying it very much, so much that they forgot simply whether the fire is still burning or not. So, in the meantime, a ship goes by from a far area in the ocean, but they couldn't see anyone. And here, Ralph notices that the fire is off. So he became angry and he scolded. So now there is a tussle, conflict is started, and Jack wanted power, and the other boys, including the little ones and the big ones, they all wanted enjoyment. They wanted thrill. They wanted adventure in their lives. So, gradually we see in different incidents, we find that they started moving from the group of Ralph gradually to Jack and his group. Why? Because they were enjoying, they seem to be happy, and here they have to do, collect the food, do something for the other as instructed by Ralph, and now nobody wants discipline. Nobody wants, they found it monotonous. They wanted thrill, they wanted adventure. Now, adventure has been highlighted by Goldie in this way, that when the children were asked, Jack and company was asked to do the signal fire and keep watch on it, instead of watching on it, they have not performed their duties sincerely. Instead, they prefer to go for hunting, and in that way, we find that they have actually lost the opportunity to go back to their homes. Had someone seen that fire, he would have, the sailor would have come to rescue them. And therefore, we find that here is a group who is all for thrill, adventure, freedom, liberty, enjoyment, and delightment in the world. And adventure is symbolic of violence. Adventure here is symbolic of evil also. So, Golding is trying to point out that instead of following the norms, following the instructions, the boys were more inclined to enjoy the thing. So they wanted to enjoy life, and in the process, adventure and adventurous activities have become symbolic of violence and evil. Because hunting also is a kind of violence that one makes to anyone. So you are killing someone. You see, you are taking someone's life. And there is no justification of it. People enjoy it. Why? Because they feel that now they are superior to that particular, innocent animal. And in this regard, William Golding is trying to point out civilization versus savagery. The theme which I discussed yesterday. He is talking about right here, civilization versus savagery. I hope you can see here. Okay, then I can write something else. I can write here. You can see it here. I hope you can see it. Okay, then I try to explain myself carefully. Now, there are two more characters, important characters. I told you yesterday that there are 4 or 5 characters who are prominent in the novel, and this is Ralph is supported by Piggy. Now, Piggy is a fat boy, and but he is an intellectual type. So he thinks, and then he is very rational also. But at the same time, he is fat, and therefore he is bullied at times by not only by Jack but even by Ralph, who is a good boy. You see, he is talking, Golding is trying to talk about the inherent evil. So he saw this weakness in Piggy, who was a very good, gentle boy, very intellectual, very intelligent, and who supported him all through this stay in the island. But at the same time, he also bullies Piggy. Now, there is one more Simon. One more character, Simon is there, and now Simon is one boy who, changes with the passing of time. He starts having hallucinations, and later on, I'll explain what happens to him. So now, Piggy, on one day, we find that the plane goes over the island, and it was probably a kind of a fighter plane, and due to something, the war was on, alien war happens, and suddenly we see that some parachuter or some soldier in a parachute, he in this war falls on the mountain top with his parachute on. Mountain top. So it is like this, it is mountain, and on the top of it, one can see the parachute, colorful parachute on the mountain top. So now, Simon believes, and others started believing, that there is a kind of mythical, it is a mythical fear that there is some beast in the island, and which is going to be dangerous for all the boys in the island. So now there is a kind of, with this kind, they started believing whenever there was a kind of, strong air used to blow, the parachute used to, the air used to double the size of the colorful parachute, and in the process, the young boys down inside the island, they used to think that now this is the beast and he is trying to gear up, and someday he will come and kill us. So now you see, there was nothing nothing to test this imaginary thought of a beast, but at the same time, everyone was pumped. The whole group was tense and terrified by the name of the beast, which was only an imaginary creation of the mind of Simon, and supported by, in a way, by Piggy also. So now, there is another twist in the story where they have a conch. Conch is a kind of shell. There is a kind of shell, and the conch was used to, they blew the conch to inform. And whenever they wanted to collect everyone in one place, they used to blow the conch. And conch also became a symbol of order in society. You see, Golding is trying to weave the plot in multiple ways. And he's trying to unfold the story in a very gradual, in a very systematic way, comprising a number of things into it. So there is caution which becomes a symbol of order in society. Because as soon as it was blown, it was a kind of signal that all should come and gather at one place. Okay, so here we have, Simon now started getting some kind of hallucination because he had a very, weak constitution, and he was somewhat having some problems. So now he started getting hallucination, and he started saying that now I can hear the voice of bees, and he was making sounds, and he can approach, and he had a strong will, and a beast it is, and it is going to attack us at any point of time. Now, so this hallucination is there, but at the same time, one day, the group of hunters, Jack and his group, which has increased by now, so all the boys, they started, going hunting on the moon in order to prepare themselves. They were collecting, making weapons, and they were engaged in a lot many hunting activities so as to scare the beast, and when the time comes, they can be able to fight with the beast. So in the process, one day while hunting, they killed a pig, a huge pig, wild pig, and they cut his head. They killed it, they cut his head, and on a stick on a higher surface, on a mountain, they put the stick with the cut head of the pig on it, so that it should create some fear to the beast also, so that the beast might get scared of this, to see this kind of big, that okay, if we have done this to big, we can do this to you also, to the beast also. So this keep on moving, this idea of beast and hunting, and in order to camouflage these boys, the hunter group, they started painting their faces and taking different kinds of tribal, sounds that they knew from through the films or on their own. So they created, making huge different, strange sounds, noises, and painting their, faces and so on. And at the same time, in the daytime, they used to go hunting. And as it was dark in the evening, in the night, they used to dance and sing, and they used to simply get frenzy, almost like a mad group. They used to simply dance. Now, this also speaks about excessive use of freedom. There was nobody to stop them, and they did not want anyone to stop them at the same time, and it went on and on and on. Now Simon feels that there is something is there. So now he decides, after the hallucination was over, he decides that okay, now today I am going to find out what is there in the mountain top, and I am going to find out the beast today. If I die, doesn't matter. So somehow he stumbles and he goes and he, with very great difficulty, he goes up to the mountain and then he finds that it was no dress or the piece, but it was actually the colorful parachute. And he could find the dead body of the soldier in the wearing the parachute, lying on the mountain top. So now everything becomes clear to him. He knew the truth that there is no beast in the island. It is all the making of their minds, and there is nothing to worry about. There is nothing to feel afraid of. Nobody to feel afraid of, and therefore, he wanted to somehow go down and tell others. At this time, it was dark. So somehow, now he's totally exhausted. He was almost in an unconscious state because throughout the day it was very tiring and exerting, and but he wanted to tell the truth. So he comes down from the mountain top and somehow he tries to find out where all the boys are. So he comes down to find Jack and his group dancing and singing and making very loud noises, and they are almost in a state of frenzy, dancing. And when he comes, it was dark like this. It was dark, and when he comes, the group of hunters, along with Jack, they actually, beated him to death. They beated him. It is very tragic. You see, if they beated him to death, they couldn't recognize that it was their friend, Simon, whom they are beating. And now look, Jack were all, these boys were already having a greater amount of evil in them. They were already hunting and doing all sorts of negative things in the island. But here Ralph was also a part of the killing of the Simon. He was also there and he also beated him to death. Now this marks a turn in the, change in the whole plot. Now Golding, what he wants to emphasize that when Ralph also was a part of the killing of Simon, what does it mean? That he was not thoroughly a good boy. When the situation comes, we throw away all our, preachings and learnings and so-called good attitude or good thoughts or being good idea of being good and so on. And when the moment comes to enjoy liberty, to do something good, when we see others are doing it, we also, try to do that. And this happens. We become a part of it. We become a part of the wrongdoing, which is not good, which is never good. If a wrong is wrong, we must have the courage to say that it is wrong. If you are actually good, you have to be good at all points of time. But being humans, we are human beings, and that is why we are human beings, because we do commit mistakes. We do commit errors. We do enjoy doing something which we call as adventurous, but in the name of adventure, we do something wrong, we do something evil. We tend to, we are inclined to do wrongs. We love liberation, freedom, and at times, the orderliness and laws of society, they are broken just for the sake of enjoyment, as in the case of health. Now, we find that there was only Ralph and some 2-3 boys remaining, along with Piggy, Ralph and 2-3 boys were there. because those who are there in this group who wanted to be disciplined, follow the instruction and live a peaceful, normal kind of life there on the island. They wanted to reach home as early as possible, as safely as possible. But at the same time, gradually they found that it is good, it is enjoyable, more enjoyable to be with Jack and his entire group, doing all sorts of, so-called adventurous activities, liberated, following the liberating ideas and so on. So there was only, we find two little ones and Ralph and Piggy left with the group. Now, gradually, Jack and other hunter group, they also wanted to have the fire on, and it is said that with the glass, the glass is used to create, to make the fire on, and Piggy used to wear glasses. So they came and steal the glasses of Piggy. Now Piggy couldn't see that he had such a bad eyesight that he couldn't see properly. So when Ralph came to know about it, Ralph, Piggy, and the two boys left in the group, all four of them went to Jack and his group to get the glasses of Piggy back. Now, at this point of time, we find that Ralph, when asked Jack to give the glasses back, there was a huge fight between them, and as a result of it, one boy from the hunter group throws a boulder from from a small mountain, which throws a boulder on Piggy, and Piggy also dies. He was such an innocent, simple, intelligent boy, but he was killed. Why? Because he was innocent. He could not sense the danger lurking there while the fight between Jack and Ralph was going on. And apart from this, the two boys who went with Ralph, they also were imprisoned by the hunter. And now the fight was there and it was going on in such a complicated way that both became violent and Ralph had to run away. And now Jack says that now I am going to kill him. I am going to kill Ralph. So they started all the hunter, boys along with Jack. The whole group, Ralph was all alone. They all were searching for him, and he was hiding in a place, trying to somehow save his life. So Jack, when he couldn't find him in the places which he imagined, where he imagined that he could find Ralph, he actually started burning trees, and the fire started moving on. Why did he set the jungle on fire? Because he thought that wherever he could be, now he will come outside this jungle, and then they will kill him. Now you see, they have forgotten that they are also living in an island. The feeling of enmity is such that it makes them forget that they are burning the whole island. So it turned into a very huge fire. And now Ralph came out near the shore in the boat, because he could not stay inside the jungle, which is already burning. So he comes out and trying to save somehow, he came out in the open near the shore. And fortunately, a ship was going by, and a naval officer came and found out that all the underpass and jet are after him, and Ralph, he asks Ralph, what are you doing here? So he rescues Ralph and other island. Jack and others also went there, tells him the whole story. And with this, they are taken back to the island and the novel ends. So this is the summary which I wanted to give you about William Golding's Lord of the Flies. Now tomorrow possibly I'm going to discuss certain questions, certain other aspects of the novel William Golding. As the time is over, I think it is time to say goodbye to all of you because I have yet another class. Okay, thank you very much, and we will discuss the other aspects tomorrow. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.